How's it going today, folks? This is Dan again, the World Traveler. I say Dan, the World Traveler, talking to you today. This is September of 2025, and today I want to talk to you about Inner Mongolia, not Mongolia, the country. I want to talk about the northern province of China, the Chinese northern province of Inner Mongolia. Believe it or not, there's a province called Inner Mongolia of China, inside China, right next to the actual country of Mongolia in Asia. Believe it or not, that place does exist, and I was there in the summer of 2016. I was a high school math teacher in Shenzhen, China, and our school was generous enough to take us on a trip, the teachers, to Inner Mongolia to have that experience, and I was quite grateful. We flew from Shenzhen to the capital city of Inner Mongolia, Hohhot. I believe it's spelled H-O, just exactly like it sounds, Hohhot, Hohhot, Inner Mongolia. The airport, we flew in there, and flying into Inner Mongolia was real. Just looking out the window at the really oddly, the shapes of the buildings and the architecture, not like anything I've ever seen. And I've flown into airports all over the world, and let me just say that the buildings and the architecture of the city of Hohhot were quite different than what I've seen. Not what I was used to. A new experience for sure. But Inner Mongolia, very exotic place. And when I say exotic, I mean just in my opinion, a place that has maintained its culture. I mean, there's so much. We're a connected world now. The internet's everywhere, and there's so much mixing of cultures everywhere. But Inner Mongolia has really kind of maintained their culture, and they're quite proud of it. In my opinion, that's how it felt. The people there quite and friendly. I never had a bad interaction in Inner Mongolia. Quite friendly people, in my opinion. But driving around Inner Mongolia, Hohhot, a real experience. I mean, in a lot of China, it's quite congested, and it's at least in Shenzhen, that part now down there near Hong Kong, it's kind of hard to get to open fields and being able to be out in the country. But in Inner Mongolia, that's absolutely possible. I mean, driving through a lot of Inner Mongolia felt like I was driving through Western Kansas or Western Oklahoma or the Great Plains or something like that. That's what it felt like driving through. I mean, if I'd have been driving down the road in Inner Mongolia, you wouldn't have told me, and I'd have thought I was driving through like I said, Kansas or something. But just really beautiful country, very peaceful place up there, and not as humid as Shenzhen for sure. I mean, if anything, I compared it to Flagstaff, Arizona in terms of dry and cooler. The nights are drier and cooler up there, especially in the summer. In the summertime, the difference was striking. To be hanging out in Inner Mongolia was really nice and cool and dry. Then get on a plane, go back to Shenzhen, where it's just super hot and super humid. But that was an experience for sure. I did sleep in a yurt. I believe they're called yurts. We went on a trip out in the countryside, and there was a place where they welcomed us and had us stay in yurts for the night. Me and another teacher, I was a colleague of mine. We shared a yurt. It was kind of fun and interesting. And when I was the school, all the teachers at the school, we were like I said, a bunch of teachers. Took a trip up there to Inner Mongolia, and we drove around, and we drove on one day we took a trip to what they call Ordos, the city of Ordos in Inner Mongolia. It's around Hohhot, close to it. Well, I don't know how close it is, but it's in the vicinity. And Ordos, or maybe it's within a couple hours. I think, I don't remember. It's a long time ago, the distance between Hohhot and Ordos. But Ordos is famous for being a ghost city. That's a name that was used to describe it once. Now, some say it's changed. It's got more population. But China, some people say that, and I don't know how true this is, but China has a number of what they call ghost cities. Cities with almost no people or something like that, but lots of buildings and nobody in them. I saw one of those cities. It's called Ordos, Inner Mongolia, and for sure enough, lots and lots of buildings, but not many people at all. Truly a ghost city. Now, maybe it's changed since I was there, but and ghost city is not a term I've come up with. I've heard that people use the term ghost city to describe cities in China that for whatever reason they were manufactured, they were built, but not the population. At least not the population that they were expecting. Ended up residing there. That's why they call them ghost cities. And again, not a term I made up. But the Inner Mongolia was an interesting place. So another interesting thing about Inner Mongolia was the lack of coffee. And I am a coffee drinker. I'm quite an enthusiastic coffee drinker, and I didn't see. I was in a museum one time, at a milk museum. We saw the milk museum in Inner Mongolia around. I think it was around Hohhot. Maybe I was wrong, but that's the only coffee shop I saw, and I was a pretty happy guy that day when I found a coffee shop in Inner Mongolia. But if you ever travel to Inner Mongolia, just be ready for a lack of coffee shops. Maybe they're there and I didn't see them, and maybe I'm all wrong about this. I had a hard time acquiring my coffee when we were riding around Inner Mongolia. I did survive, my lack of coffee. There were some shops. Every shop seemed to have this cold drink. It's like a caffeine milkshake, if you will. And it comes in this little can. But that's how I got through that week. But anyway, the milk museum. There's a famous milk museum. I think it's still around in Inner Mongolia. But we were there, and it was a pretty good time. And it's a very interesting place. I mean, the plains, the deserts. Believe it or not, there's deserts in China. There's a desert in Inner Mongolia. We saw that. It was really interesting. Just a really striking difference between the rest of China. Especially Shenzhen, where I lived for a year teaching high school mathematics. The Mongolian language. If you ever go to Inner Mongolia, you'll see Mandarin written on signs, but you'll also see Mongolian written on signs. And Mongolian is different than Mandarin or even English or French or Spanish, in the sense that when you read our language, it goes left to right, or in some languages go right to left, or side to side. Right? Mongolian goes down, up, down. That's what I think I saw. That's what I think I saw. I'm not going to say I'm sure about this, but I'm pretty sure I saw writing that goes down, the Mongolian language. And quite a few ethnic Mongolians in Inner Mongolia. And believe it or not, I've heard somebody say, I don't know how true this is, there's more ethnic Mongolians in Inner Mongolia, China, than Mongolia, the country. Believe it or not, there's more ethnic Mongolians. I've heard people say this. I don't know how true it is. There's more ethnic Mongolians in Inner Mongolia, China, the province, than the actual country of Mongolia. Quite interesting. Anyway, Inner Mongolia, very, very interesting place. If you have the means, go there. You'll have a great time. A very interesting experience, and a very nice people, good people. Okay, thank you so much. Again, this is Dan the World Traveler. Dan the World Traveler signing off. Good day.